Our theme for the last few weeks has been surrender. Yes, you're on that one, surrender. Okay, and tonight the title of basically what I'm going to be talking about here is Follow Me, is the title of what I'm going to be sharing. Now, when I say the words follow me, does anything come to mind for anyone? Chicken? Why does chicken come to mind?
I don't know, I was hungry.
Oh, you're just hungry. And I said follow me and you thought chicken. You're like, I'm hoping he's going to KFC. All right. Well, I wasn't actually going that route. But anyone else, if you hear the words follow me, do you think of anything? What do you think of?
Well, the idea of chicken, there's ducks and they follow their parents into the water. And they don't know how to swim.
What about...
Following them,
Okay.
to learn how.
Okay.
What about...
All right. Yep.
What about follow the leader or like Marco Polo? Because you follow voices.
Follow the leader or Marco Polo because you follow voices. Okay. All right. What'd you say?
I don't know, I was like, what about Pac-Man? Because you try to run away from those little things.
Yep. And they follow him around.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay. I wasn't expecting this to go this way, but sure, why not? What do you think of when what do you think? What do you people at home think of when I say? Because we're live now. I mean, well, we're not really live, but this will be online. So I gotta interact with the camera because you are just important. Sitting there at home in your underwear watching this late at night at Lyghthouse because you had volleyball practice or whatever. You matter to us here.
I'm gonna have to do that now.
Oh, and definitely a big hi to Kristen Roberts because I know you're tuning in and watching this at some point. We miss you. Everybody say hi, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
I love you.
Awesome. So, Shauna, what do you think of?
I think of like a couple years ago on the mission trip, we played that one game where one act like Satan, you know, one kind of act like Jesus, and we were.
Oh yeah, that's a good game. We haven't done that in a while. Yeah. Okay.
What is it?
It's a really good game. We can do it some night. Basically, you got 3 people, or teams of 3 people. One of them has a blindfold, and there are 2 people that are talking to him. One of them is Satan, the other one is Jesus, but you don't know which one is which. And so they're telling you, follow me this way, follow me this way. Now the goal is for the person to be blindfolded. There's a set of obstacle courses, obstacles they have to make it all the way through, and the goal is to be the first one to finish. So you've got to figure out which one's Satan and which one's Jesus.
Is there like clues to...
Well, there isn't. They're just by what they tell you, and if somebody starts telling you to go certain ways, you start running into things, then you might think that that's Satan, or and then the one that's leading you in the right direction would be Jesus. But if you have a really smart Satan, they start leading you in the right direction, like for a while, and then they realize once you've started to trust them, then they start really messing you up, and then it's harder to recover. So, what's that? Yeah, that's right. So it's really difficult. There were some really dumb Satans though that were like they were trying to use evil voices and stuff. It's like, duh, I think they're gonna know you're Satan. And I think they made them run into a wall like right away, and it's like I'm pretty sure they're not gonna listen to you anymore. So.
Maybe they would go into the ball so hard they would just go on.
There we go, and then they'd lose. That might have been. So anyway, that was kind of a funny. We could pull that one off sometime. That'd be good. Okay. All right. Well, when I hear the words "follow me," I actually think of this story from the Bible of Jesus calling his disciples, his 12 followers. Okay, and I'm just going to read this briefly to you. This is just one portion where he called a few of his disciples. He says this: one day, as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, he saw Simon and his brother Andrew throwing a net into the water. And Jesus said, "Guys, leave Annette alone. She's a nice girl." Okay. Annette, like that's a girl's name. I'm sorry, every time I read that story, it's the first thing I think. Why don't they just leave Annette alone? That's so mean. Okay, so anyway. Anyway, moving right along. Okay, so anyway, they were throwing a net into the water for they fished for a living. Now, none of you will ever be able to read that story again without thinking that. You'll be laughing. Some other preacher will be trying to share it. He'll be reading this, and they were throwing a net in the water, and you'll be like, or Annette. Annette, yeah. A-N-N-E-T-T-E, Annette, yeah. So, okay. That was bad. Okay, so anyway, because they fish for a living, that's why they threw a net in the water. Okay, Jesus called out to them, "Come, follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people." And they left their nets at once and followed him. A little farther up the shore, Jesus saw Zebedee's sons, James and John, in a boat repairing their nets. And he called them at once, and they also followed him, leaving their father Zebedee in the boat with the hired men. It's in Mark 1:16 through 20. Now I was thinking of this word follow, because in our culture, it probably has quite a few meanings. Actually, I looked it up just out of curiosity, because I was starting to think of all the different meanings of follow. Plus now, like, anybody have Twitter? Like, you can follow people on Twitter and stuff. And I'm just curious, and like, I think I found like 13 different meanings for the word follow, because there's so many different ones. But anyway, there's only a few that apply to our situation. So I'm just going to throw out a few definitions of what it means to actually follow someone. This is what it is. Follow. Nice. Okay. The first one would be to go after or pursue something. Like if I'm following it, if I want to catch something, I'm going to go after it. Okay. The second one is to go in the same direction or to be guided by. So if someone is leading me, maybe you're on a tour, maybe like of Italy. Anybody ever been to Italy? No? Spain? No, Ireland. Anyone been to Ireland? Oh, yep, 2 of us have. All right. Maybe you might go and you want a tour of something. When we went to Ireland, we went to St. Patrick's Cathedral, and we did not go on the tour, though, did we? There's like a guided tour, but we didn't do that, did we? We just did our own thing, right?
That one.
I think we skipped that because that took too long, whatever. We just did our own tour. So anyway, but you could have a guide that would take you through and explain things, and you would be following them because you want to learn. Okay, to accept the guidance of, or the command, or the leadership of. So some of you, if you go to Hilltop, some people that go to Hilltop might say they're followers of Pastor Dan because he's the pastor here. Okay, or to obey somebody. Maybe I follow their instruction. Okay. It can be to watch, observe, or pay attention to grasp the meaning of, or understand. I could be like telling this. I told a joke about a net being thrown into the water. Some of you followed me right away. Some of you, it took a little while to catch up once you realized that a net was also a girl's name. Okay? So yes, some of you, when I might say you understand, do you follow me? Okay. Anyway, Jesus asked his disciples to follow him. Now I got a question for you before we go on. Who or what do you follow, would you say? By all those definitions that were up there, what are some things maybe that you're pursuing in life? What are some people that you listen to? Who would you say are some of your leaders? Or who are some people that you would say you obey or follow? Or hey, if you're on Twitter, tell me a few people that you like to follow on Twitter, to listen to or adhere to. Anybody? Just something you follow.
My mom.
I barely follow my mathematics teacher's district.
Okay, so now we're going to that last definition of understanding. In math class, you barely follow. He talks too fast. How was the math for you here? How was that? Was that for you? Okay. You know what? I found out tonight that Isaac too is really good at math. Because we're all like sitting there trying to figure out. He just grabs the paper, right there, and he was right every time. He was right every time. There was only one time Evan had to help him on 355 divided by 50. And Evan had a little, otherwise he was just division, math, multiplication, whatever. So good job, man. All right, you barely follow math. What do you follow?
My mom. My mom's rules.
You follow your mom's rules.
And sometimes they're broken.
I think you obey them.
Sometimes they're broken.
Yep, but obeying is a part of following. And by definition, it's one of the definitions of. Sometimes you don't follow the rules.
Sometimes you kind of have.
Well, that's only like 1,000th of the time.
You allow yourself once a year to take.
Like once, twice.
Yeah.
12.
Okay. Good. Well, I'm sure your mom would agree that we'd throw out the same numbers. Awesome. What were you saying? You forgot? It was like just 2 seconds ago.
I know, but then I was listening to you guys.
Oh, you were following us. Good. All right. Anyone else? Anything you follow? How about, is there anyone here really anticipating a new CD or album being released like soon? Like it's on its way out soon?
Oh, we'll listen to songs.
Well, okay. An album. Where do you get your music? I'm just curious. When you listen to music, what do you get?
When I have not wanted to.
iTunes? Yeah, I like iTunes. How many of you use Spotify over iTunes?
I don't know what's Spotify.
I know Evan does. You're a big Spotifyer. He follows Spotify.
You do?
He does.
What's Spotify?
Spotify is basically like free iTunes. I mean, you can get all the same music, but you just can't. You can't burn CDs. It's harder to transfer it to like a portable device. So like if you have your computer and stuff, you can listen to it. But if you want to put it on an iPod, it's a little different. But there are different ways, and you can pay. It's kind of like Netflix. I'll get over here. Sorry. It's kind of like Netflix for music. You can like you have access to all this music, and if you pay like a monthly
It's
fee,
internet streamed music, and then if you pay for premium service, and I do that for $10 a month, you can save it. Like if you have an iPod Touch or a Droid, you can download the app, and then it will save it to it, and you can listen to it without internet or connection or anything. So if you have like what?
Lyghthouse Tonight is brought to you by Spotify. We get paid to advertise for this.
There's also Frostbite.
Something like that. If you just send $100 a month to us, we'll give you a free membership to Spotify for the year. All right. So anyway, we'll move along from that. You had something you want to say? Let's all leave Spotify in the dust and come back.
Well, sometimes like for a series, it's like you wait for the next one to come out.
There you go. What is there one that you particularly have recently waited for, or
Well, I'm waiting until I have enough money to get the second.
of what's the series?
I don't know. It's like
Twilight. That's a good one.
no. It's the second book is called Twice Upon a Time. It's like
Okay.
The first book was
Okay.
I know it's very good.
All right. Cool. Well, that's the way it was like with the Harry Potter books. Like people couldn't wait for those to be released. So yeah, and so that's a good. Yep.
I'm kind of hoping they throw like another Aragon book out.
Aragon.
They're not.
Oh, yeah.
I've never. Is only one book?
No,
There's
it's
four.
Oh, okay. Did they make a movie or something?
Yeah.
Was it any good?
No.
It wasn't.
It was. The book's way better.
Yeah.
They are like,
Okay.
I hope
All right.
they do another book. because the
Okay.
last one happened.
Okay.
He's not
I know
into
the
writing
series
more
and
than
the
series.
songs.
So
Scary.
it's
Books
Kate
that
Foundation
Alicia
of Bjorn
Bjorn
is
is
writing,
more
and
focused on
he's it's like Egyptian stuff.
Okay.
Egyptian mythology stuff.
Okay.
He's got 3 books so far.
Okay. All right.
Wait, are those
How about?
they like about like magic or something?
Yeah, but it's really funny.
There's so many.
How about a movie? Is there any movie coming out that then you're like just
I was
like
trying to-
waiting? You're like watching the trailers and like, okay, which ones? Say them quick. I don't want to linger here too
The
long.
Hobbit.
oh, I knew I was waiting for
Is that what you're gonna say too? The Hobbit?
Yes.
Should we have when The Hobbit comes out? Should we
Yes.
have it as a group?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I agree.
We'll do it. Midnight showing. Should we do the midnight showing? Can we have it? Sweet. Yeah. Good call. Good call.
I don't even watch them.
Yeah. Well, you need to get. Yeah, those are good movies. I love them too. Yeah. What's that? What's that? End of watch.
It's like these cops like discover something
Okay.
that's like really bad and like not wrong, like all over bad.
Okay.
People are like after
Do any of you like get really nerdy with movies? Like follow like where they're at in production and like on stuff online or anything?
Oh,
Okay.
that's just kind of.
Okay. Yeah, it can be, but with like internet, you can get great. I'm always like searching when's the next like Superman movie or Avengers one. I guess next year Iron Man 3 is coming out next year, Thor 2 is coming out next year, and then the year after that, Captain America 2 and Avengers 2.
That's-
and then
Oh,
after
I
that,
can't wait until Avengers 2. It's
I
gonna be
know,
awesome.
I know, right? But then after that, like the year after that, supposedly another Hulk movie's coming out. Anybody seen any of the Hulk movies? Have you seen? Like, there was like 2 fairly recently. Have you seen? There's the one with
Yes.
most recent. Have you seen both of them?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Hulk's my favorite superhero.
The Hulk
It's
is.
the Superman movie.
Yeah, wasn't thrilled with the Hulk movies, but like in Avengers, he was awesome. What did you say, Evan?
Like there's like a major Superman movie.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Jeremy.
Yeah, you're right. Oh yes, the guy that made The Dark Knight. I'll get to you in just a second. The guy that made The Dark Knight is now doing, I think, a Superman trilogy or something.
Yeah, like he's starting it from the very beginning.
Very beginning, and he's actually going to do it
So
well.
you can see Superman is like born.
Anyone ever seen the original Superman movies? Any of the 4 originals? Okay, I'm going to say something that some of you may not agree with. If you want to watch some awful movies, I mean, okay, for their time, no, they're just bad. I just think they're bad. And the first one's all right, the second one's semi-decent. The last two, watch for, oh my goodness, are they terrible. But you know, great entertainment.
It's 3 hours of like nothing.
Yeah, I know. Anyways, getting back over here. Yep.
Are there any Spider-Man movies?
Spider-Man, well the Spider-Man one.
The newer Spider-Man was better because it was actually like the comic book.
I heard that, yep, I haven't seen it. Are you asking if there are more coming out?
Yeah.
Because I think there's going to be a couple, like over the next few years, a couple more coming out. I think they're going to do a trilogy of it again.
I think they should just like skip all the superhero movies and make another Avengers.
Yeah, they got to do them to build up though, because it ties into the story. Yep. Cars 3. I own Cars 1 and have never watched it and haven't got to Cars 2. I don't know why. It's just one of those things I got it like for $5, you know, one day out of a binge, like yeah, and I have not watched the thing yet. So I've been probably 5 years.
At one point,
Cars 2? Alright, yeah.
Seeing when the movies will come out is different than watching every single stage of the production.
You're right. And some people follow real closely, and some people don't. Hey, whoa, this could be like an illustration of Christianity. Some people follow just a little bit. Some people, you know, they're fans, you know, like they'll follow like when the movie comes out, you know. Whoa, does this sound like anything, you know? And then like, but some people are like true dedicated followers. They follow the time. Wow, look at that. That was just a great yeah, illustration. I know. Okay. All right, kind of goes on. Okay, let's move along from that. We can follow upcoming movies. So you can follow people on Twitter. You can follow different people on Facebook, Pinterest. Any ladies here that are Pinteresting? Is there any like what? And this will be the last thing we'll do about this. What like do you like to follow? Like what do you always check it up on Pinterest for? New ideas for
Recipes.
Everything.
recipes? What's your favorite?
She just looks at it all the time.
Do you look at like the
looking at random pictures.
2 hours
Do you
straight
look
just
at
scroll.
like the clothing stuff and all that?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to move on. Otherwise, you know, Jesus might leave if we don't start talking about him a little bit. So, okay, what we're following, who do you follow? What we're following can have huge consequences on our life. Like a lot of the things we were just talking about probably aren't going to have big consequences on us. But the truth is, there are some things in life that we do follow that can have huge consequences on us. For instance, perhaps you were a mouse and you were following the scent of cheese. Something like that might happen. And that's gross, I know. So
Where did you get that picture?
I found
That
it.
looks like peanut butter and
I Googled, that's actually off Wikipedia, I think. I just Googled mousetrap and that's what came up. Is that when it defines what a mousetrap
looks
is.
like it like had a dramatic breakdown. Like
Yeah, I don't know if it actually threw up there or what, but I don't really, I thought it was a gross picture and I was like, gosh, should I show it? Yeah, why not? Okay.
They actually like peanut butter better than cheese.
Do they really?
Yeah.
It looks like peanut butter.
Well,
It's
either
like
way,
peanut butter and
okay,
cheese.
so back that up. If you were a mouse and you were following the scent of peanut butter, something like this might happen. Okay, so anyways, so peanut butter, good to know. So, Shauna, are you a mouse? Okay, all right. Now, anybody ever heard of a guy named Hannibal?
Yes.
Hannibal lived in some of you maybe can correct my details. You know, I was just thinking, I took a lot of history in high school and college and stuff growing up, but I don't think I ever had a class that really taught much in depth about Hannibal. So I did most of my research about Hannibal. The only thing I really knew about him was that he went to war with elephants. I think that's one of the things he's famous for.
Well, no, he
Yeah.
rode elephants.
Well, you
He
know,
rode 2 World
well, you know, go big or go home.
That's right. Go big. And he wrote about like even into like the mountains, right?
What's bigger than an elephant?
So anyway, Hannibal, I'm just going to give you a few statistics facts about Hannibal, and then there was actually a battle that he's famous for, and he kind of set a trap, and I'm explaining that trap, where he had the other army had them follow a certain thing, and they end up being their defeat. But I'll just explain this here first. So anyway, Hannibal was from Carthage, which is in Tunisia, which if you got Africa, Tunisia is a country close to the top of Africa. It's kind of right across, you know, Italy's the big boot. It's kind of just right across the, whatever that would be, is the Mediterranean Sea right there. There's a really short gap there, and they're right across there. Anyway, Rome was the world power at that time, and they were conquering everybody, and Hannibal was this great military leader, and he decided he wanted to go attack Rome. Let's see if there's anything else I need to tell you about Hannibal. Let's see here. He was known as one of the greatest military minds ever, and he was one of the biggest enemies of Rome. So anyway, at one point in history, he goes to attack Rome, and he takes 45,000 men with him. And they call it the Battle of Cannae. And this is known as one of the biggest tactical victories ever, one of the best strategies in war ever accomplished by a military leader. Anyway, he takes 45,000 men up against somewhere between 80 and 90,000 Roman soldiers. So he's almost outnumbered, almost 2 to 1. Now that's big odds. Now for those of you that play football, you know, if you think 45,000, 90,000 doesn't sound like a big deal, how would you like to, you play 11-man football, right? How would you like to play 6 versus 11 in football?
That'd be amazing.
If we were against like Rots,
Well, just say it was a fairly evenly matched as far as talent-wise team. How would 6 guys against 11 do?
probably not the best.
Probably get destroyed, yeah. And for those of you who ever played, soccer's kind of my sport. If we had to play six players in soccer against 11, we'd have no prayer. Okay, so anyway, so that's what kind of odds is. It's 2 to 1. All right, so anyway, he used in this against this the Roman army. He used what's called a double envelope attack. I think I have a picture of this here, where basically the blue is going to represent the Roman army, and the red, he splits his men up, and they create a double envelope around them. So they kind of circle around them. Okay, and I think I actually have a picture of it. Here it is. This is the actual what it looked like. The red is the Roman army. You can see all of them, and the blue is just his army that's kind of spread out. Now, what he did was that one in the middle up front, he put his weakest soldiers in the front, the worst one, right in front. I don't know if he told them, hey, you're the wimps, go up front. He probably didn't tell them that. He probably was like, hey, you're the best I have. You need to go up there and take these guys out. You can do it. Don't worry about it. So anyway, he puts the wimpiest of his soldiers up front, the weakest one. And they go against them, and the Romans come and they start destroying these guys. And as they're retreating, the Roman soldiers are feeling confident about what they're doing, and so they keep following them as they're retreating, killing them as they go. And as they did this, the rest of the army backed up and swarmed around them, and then started attacking. The strongest came in and eventually encircled them. And as historians say, they killed about 70,000 of the 90 or so thousand men. They killed about 70,000, took captive about 10,000, and then about 3,000 or 4,000 others were escaped. Hardly any escaped. And in that, he only lost about 8,000 of his own soldiers.
I thought you were just about to say like 8.
Yeah, 8. No, 8,000. But he lost 8,000 as they killed 70,000 of the other guys. And what he did was he baited them into following that weakest army. Kind of a pretty cool tactic. So, yeah, like I said, it's known as one of the greatest strategic victories ever. And just for those of you that were kind of curious, so whatever happened to Hannibal, eventually Hannibal was fighting with some other nation that was Rome was up against them later on, and the leader of this one nation that Hannibal was working for decided he just wanted to make peace with Rome, and the only way Rome would do it is if he gave up Hannibal to them, because they still hated him because of this victory. And so the guy basically gave up Hannibal. But Hannibal always knew he was going to have enemies for the rest of his life, so he carried a little vial of poison with him, in case any day he was in a situation where his enemies were going to capture him. He didn't want to be captured. He didn't want to be tortured by his enemies. So in case he ever was captured, he had this little vial of poison, and when he found out he was being given to the Romans, he took out his poison.
Like Hitler.
Probably, yeah, probably.
He's not as smart.
Yeah, well, Hitler obviously was he was a pretty good military mind too. I mean, he conquered a lot of people.
Probably not much in the field, but
what's that?
it's probably not good in the field.
Right.
Well, it's because I had guns.
Thank you.
Anyways, what we follow can have tremendous consequences on us. Now, the Bible teaches us that Satan is a deceiver. In other words, he makes evil look good. And since we're going along with kind of a military theme through our surrender thing, he camouflages evil to make it look good. So, we have to always understand, yes?
You might want to take another look at what your dress.
What's that?
Take a look at what your dress and what.
Oh, so she's saying I'm a deceiver. Is that what you're saying? I'm working for Satan. That's right, yeah, that's right. Good point. Good point. I like that. They're following along. All right. Good. Good. Okay. Well,
He knew that.
I'm not Satan. But if I was, I might dress in camouflage. All right. Nice. Okay. So anyway, Satan, what he does is he takes evil and makes it look good. Just like Hannibal took his army and made it look like it was going to be a really weak, a really easy victory. He made it look like it was going to be nothing for the Romans until they followed in, and then he surrounded them and destroyed them. And that's what Satan does to us. So if we're not careful, we can easily be deceived in this thinking that something evil is actually good. Something like this. Cheating. Maybe on a test in high school. We can start to think, I'm not going to do very well on this test. But I know this person next to me has the answers, and if I just look over, I know they're smart, I know that this will help me get a good grade. That seems like a good thing, right? If I get a good grade, I can, I can pass this class, I can get better scholarships to the college I want, I can, get a better education, which then would lead to the career I want. So cheating would then be a good thing, wouldn't it? And that's how Satan works. He makes it look like it's good, but in God's eyes, it's not honoring to him. And God's always watching, and even if we succeed in life by cheating, he knows, and we don't succeed with him. Another thing, maybe telling a lie. Have you ever been in a situation like, if you tell a lie, you can get out of some bad consequences? And so for the moment, a lie looks like a really good thing to do. Because, for me, like growing up, I got spankings, if I got in trouble, So sometimes, who ate the cookies? There was a temptation for me to say I didn't want to do it. But first of all, I was an only child. So that lie wasn't going to get me out of anything anyway. Because, I could try to blame my mom, but, maybe. So first, my parents wouldn't believe me anyway in that situation. But secondly, if my parents ever found out that I did lie, I knew I was in the line for a much bigger spanking. And I also knew that if I lied, that God knew. And I would never have peace in my heart until I confessed that and made it right with him. There's another thing. Maybe something like having sex outside of marriage. If you're really in love with someone, and it's like you've gotten this relationship, and they're so kind and they're so cute and all that, and it's just like, they love me. This just seems so right. Satan can make that look like such a good thing because it would feel so good, and everybody tells you, oh, do it, it's so fun. You're a dork, you're a prude if you don't, you're a loser if you don't. All the cool people are doing it, and Satan's making it out to look like this really cool thing. But God says to wait for marriage. That's the only way there's true blessing in it. Because on the other side of it, we know that sex outside of marriage isn't a good thing. One, it can lead to a lot of broken hearts. Two, it can lead to pregnancies. And not that pregnancy is a bad thing, but when you're not married and at a time in your life when you're not ready for it, it's not a good thing. And then we've all heard of those things like STDs and all that stuff. All of a sudden, that thing that Satan camouflaged to make so good, we found out, oh, it really wasn't such a good, smart thing. Anyway, I could go on to a number of different things, but basically the point I want to make is that Satan often tries to get us. He camouflages something evil so that we'll follow it like a mouse following peanut butter, not cheese, into a trap. And there's always a price to pay when we disobey God's laws. Check out this verse in Proverbs. It says, there is a way that seems right to a man, but it leads to death. And sometimes I've talked about how Satan will take something and he'll make it seem so right, but there's always those consequences. There's a year ago, there was a handful of people, I think they were from Underwood School, that were out partying one night. And partying seemed like the right thing to do. It seemed like the fun thing to do. Having some alcohol seemed like a good thing. Problem is, they got into a car that night. Some of you, I think, heard about it. And that car ended up in an accident. And that's one of those literal applications of this verse. There was a way that totally seemed right, but in the end, it led to death. Because that night, they were in an accident. And I know a handful of them didn't survive. And the ones that did had some pretty serious injuries. It seemed right at the time. No, this would be the cool thing. People will accept me. They'll like me more. I'll have more fun doing this. But by the end of the night, I don't think any of them were having fun. But ultimately, Doesn't mean if you go out and sin, you're going to get in a car accident and die that night. But sin does separate us from God. And ultimately, the real separation that this verse is talking about, not as a physical death, but it's an eternal death, an eternal separation from God. There's a way that seems right, but if that way isn't following Jesus, it will ultimately lead to a separation from God. So, the point I want to make tonight is when Jesus says, follow me, He's not giving you a bunch of rules. He's giving you a way that leads to life. And sometimes life can seem really confusing. Sometimes life can be really frustrated. Has anyone had one of those moments when life is just like, it just sucks? Anybody ever had life? Why do I have to go through this at the age of whatever, 12, 13, 14? Why do I have to go through this? Has anybody had one of those moments where you're just so frustrated, like, I hate my life? Have anyone ever said that? I hate my life. You know what? I love this. I love this quote right here. Navigating through life can seem difficult, often seem difficult and complicated, but there is a guaranteed solution. Follow me. Sometimes life, it's just so crazy. We don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. We don't know what the next step is. And we think, I'm never going to figure this out. But Jesus offered us a real simple solution. For you, Evan, He offered a simple solution. You don't have to figure it out. You don't have to memorize the whole Bible. And you don't have to wait till you're 50 or 60 till you've lived so long that you know everything. And you don't have to worry about making every right decision in life. Sometimes, anybody ever start thinking, oh man, what am I going to do a year? Anybody worried about college yet? What am I going to do for college? I don't know where I want to grow up. Some people start worrying about college. Or if the class is coming up, what classes am I going to take next year? Am I going to make any friends if I'm transferring to a new school? We have all these things we can worry about. But Jesus says you don't have to have all those things figured out. All you need to do is follow me. I love that. I love that because there's even times that I'll get stressed out and worried. What am I going to do here? What am I going to do in this upcoming year? There's might be different problems that I'm thinking I'm going to face. What am I going to do? And then I'm just reminded, Jesus tells me, you don't have to figure it all out today. Just follow me. The last point I want to make tonight, and I'm serious, this is the last point. The difficult part then becomes, if I'm going to follow Jesus, I've got to trust Him. And sometimes I think that's the most difficult thing. Life can seem so impossible sometimes. Life can seem so difficult. How can Jesus get me out of this one? Or I've done so many bad things, there's no way. God's going to give, if He hasn't given up on me, He will soon. And life can throw all these things at us, but the real question is can I trust that no matter how big the situation, God can get me through it? No matter how impossible it seems to me, God can get me through this. And no matter what I've done, God will never give up on me. And the answer to all those things is yes, He will never give up on you. And yes, He can get you through it. All we need to do is follow Him. The Bible's full of a bunch of rules. The cool thing about this, I was thinking this week, sometimes there's all these rules. How can I obey them all? If I follow Jesus, if I do the things He does, I'll find that I'm just obeying all the rules because He already does obey them. He doesn't give me a bunch of rules and say, go do this. He says, Ethan, you see all the rules, just follow me, and together we'll obey them all. Because He's already obeying them. If you do what He does, follow Him, you'll be obeying all the rules. I think that's pretty cool. You know, for me, I can trust a God like that. I can trust a God that didn't just give the rules. He came and then showed me how to obey them. I think that's pretty cool. The last thing The last statement I want to make tonight, I've said it the last 2 weeks, and I think Sarah and Hannah are going to come and lead us in a little bit of worship tonight. There is nothing more amazing than knowing God. You will never experience a love greater than knowing God. You will never experience a peace greater than knowing God, and you will never experience a greater purpose for your life than when you know God. And that's why I'm inviting you, challenging you to take up Jesus' call to follow Him.